hear the call. Dust off the lies, stand up tall. We were scattered, but we still know the road home lives in the scroll. Hands to the word, feet to the path. Turn from the world and count the cost. We are not lost, we are not done. Back to the covenant, back to the sun.
Set apart,
set apart.
Let the old ways fall apart.
Keep the charge, keep the flame.
Call his people by his name.
Return to the covenant.
Return to the covenant.
Walk in Torah, heart and head.
Return to the covenant.
Keep the feast, lift up your voice. Not the customs of the choice. 7-day rest, holy and true. We honor him in all we do. Feast of trumpets, tabernacles too. Passover night, I remember you. No borrowed crown, no borrowed chain. Our fathers knew the righteous way.
Sons and daughters,
Hear it clear. Do not trade your birthright here. Black hands, strong roots, holy ground. Kings and queens where chains were found. Set apart.
let the old ways fall apart.
Keep the charge, keep the flame.
Call his people by his name.
Return to the covenant.
Return to the covenant.
Walk in Torah, heart and head.
Return to the covenant.
Keep the feast, lift up your voice. Not the customs of the choice. 7-day rest, holy and true. We honor him in all we do. Hey, we were taught to blend and bow, but the truth is rising now. Not Greek, not Rome, not made to fit. We were born to stand in it. Come back home, come back home to the law and to the throne. Every tribe, every tongue, let the ancient song be sung. Return to the covenant.
Return to the covenant.
Walk in Torah, heart and hand.
Return to the covenant.
Keep the feast, lift up your voice. Not the customs of the choice. 7-day rest, holy and true. We honor him in all we do.
Come back, come back.
Return to the covenant.
Come back, come back.
Return to the covenant.
Out of this pumping in line. Oh! We gotta build with that sound. Oh! That is. You don't want everybody now. Yeah. Back to the book, I'm reading out loud, not running with the crowd, not moving like the proud. Covenant call, I'm answering now. Torah in my hand, I'm walking it out. They sold us a name, sold us a crown, but bones, remember what was lost and found. Black folk, wake up, look around. We been the children of the prophet's crown. Turn from the idols, turn from the lie. Feast days on my calendar, truth in my eye. 7-day rest, that's how we rise. No hidden pattern, I'm done with disguise. Come back to the covenant line. Come back. Keep the commandment alive. Feast days, Sabbath. We were built for that life. Come back. covenant line. Yeah. Passover on the table, bread broke plain. And lily days remind me how to change. Trumpet sound, I'm hearing the range. Atonement clean, what's the old stain? On Sunday sun, I honor the seventh. Set apart time, that's a holy weapon. Greek and Roman chains, I sever the message. I'm not a slave to the names they wear with. Turn from the idols, turn from the lie. Feast days on my calendar, truth in my eye. 7-day rest, that's how we rise. No heathen pattern, I'm done with disguise. Come back to the covenant line. Come back, keep the commandment alive. Feast days, Sabbath, we were built for that life. Come back to the covenant line. To the covenant line. To the covenant line. Identity matters, that's more than a trend. We were scattered wide, but the story don't end. Black man, black woman, remember who sinned. The Lord of feast, the rest, that's the way home again. Come back to the covenant line. Come back, keep the commandment alive. Feast days, Sabbath, we were built for that life. Come back to the covenant line.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Man, I hope everybody is truly having a blessed day of rest and has strived to enter into that day of rest. You know, the title of today's message is Indoctrination. You know, first and foremost, I want to say this. Man, I have no problem whatsoever with anybody walking in the ways of the Most High Yah. No matter what nation you're from, no matter what your skin color, no matter the amount of melanation you have, I have no problem with that because at the end of the day, you are biblical Israel. When you think about the body of Hamashiach, man, that is you, okay? But this teaching today is going to bring light to some stuff that possibly you're not aware of about the identity that has been lost of a particular people, okay? Welcome to all in Shabbat Shalom, Yisrael. How to support the ministry, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on and set to all notifications. Share this video. If you would like to give an offering, Cash App is on the screen and in the description as well. Agenda. Today we are confronting a spiritual stronghold that has affected generations of people. The demonic power behind indoctrination and the loss of identity among the scattered tribes of Israel. Scriptures repeatedly warn Yahweh's people against adopting the customs, doctrines, philosophies of the nations. Yet throughout history, the tribes have been systematically stripped of their heritage, culture, language, obedience, and remembrance of who they are. Through captivity, slavery, colonization, religion, and Hellenization, many descendants of Israel have been taught to embrace foreign identities while abandoning the righteous ways of the Most High. False doctrines have crippled entire generations, causing many to unknowingly walk contrary to the commandments, set apart times, and covenant identity given by Yahweh. The influence of the Gentile system has reshaped thinking, working, culture, morality, and even self-perception, especially among black people scattered to the four corners of the earth through oppression and displacement. What began as physical captivity eventually became mental and spiritual captivity through indoctrination. Yet the word of Yahweh consistently calls his people to remember, repent, and return. Today's teaching is a call to awaken, reject the confusion of the nations, and return to the righteousness, culture, identity, and holy ways of true biblical Israel. Today's message is about getting Israel from living in transgression to the progression of righteousness. Biblical reference, I'll be using the Seeper and the Amplified version.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave like everyone else. You were born into bondage. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Why are we here today? Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 to 11. Remember the day of the Shabbat to keep it holy. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. Work, Strong's number, Hebrew word 4399, employment, public business, occupation, industrious, public service. Exodus chapter 20, verse 10, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh Helaake. In it thou shalt not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Exodus 31:13. Speak also unto the children of Yasharel, saying, truly my Sabbaths you shall guard. For it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Yahweh Mekadeshkim. Man, there's several questions I want you to consider while listening to today's teaching, surrounded by the initial question of who is being indoctrinated, who has been indoctrinated. Have Israelites ever had the power to indoctrinate other nations? And if so, who have we indoctrinated? If so, are these people oppressed or have they prospered? Has Israel, Hebrews, and the 12 tribes been the ones being indoctrinated according to history? Has the impacts of indoctrination on blacks helped us or hurt us? Has it caused us to live more righteous or unrighteous? Why have they indoctrinated the true descendants of Israel, the Hebrews, the 12 tribes? Keep that in the back of your mind and think about that. Example. So in the picture you have some brothers that are pledging to their fraternity. Alpha Phi Alpha stands as a sole black Greek letter organization. Pay attention. It's Greek. That's not of a Shemitic descent, not of a African origin. Black Greek letter organization founded at an Ivy League institution, Cornell University. On December 4th, 1906, seven young black men aspiring to foster a brotherhood laid the foundation for the fraternity. Black students created these groups because they were systematically excluded from the predominantly white and Greek organizations. So when you think about that, being excluded from these Greek organizations would have kept you set apart, would have kept you independent from what these other nations was doing, because you'll learn today the Most High Yah told you not to follow their ways. But here it is, you got some brothers, black African Americans, claiming on something and very proud about claiming something that's rooted in Greek origins, not of our culture. Right here we have, sorority sisters right here, black African American females. And this is the same concept. Black women started pledging to sororities in 1908, following the establishment of the first black Greek letter sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, at Howard University. So even these so-called historically black universities, man, this is where you go if you want to end up pledging to another culture, pledging to another nation, pledging to heathens, pledging to pagans. So when you think about this is Greek, and Roman culture. Nothing about this is our identity. But we feel accomplished because they allow us to do this. And you see how far we take it. And where has it gotten us? Can you not have brotherhood or sisterhood and still claim your own culture? Or do they have us brainwashed into thinking that only when we claim something that's rooted with them and starts with them do we have anything that's worthwhile in brotherhood or sisterhood? Here you have a black family keeping Easter. Prior to the transatlantic slave trade, Africans celebrated the Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread until Christian missionaries on slave ships came along and taught Africans the European pagan tradition of Easter, spring fertility. Here you have a black family celebrating Christmas. Prior to the transatlantic slave trade, Native Africans did not celebrate Christmas. The holiday is rooted in Christian doctrine and pagan culture mixing. Africans were indoctrinated to believe it's the celebration of the birth of Yeshua HaMashiach and was introduced to parts of the African continent centuries later, primarily by European missionaries and traders. Here you have the public food system. Black children integrated in. This is the same reason why when you think about, if you look statistically, who they say has the most learning disabilities, you'll find out that it's African American. You'll find out it's black children, according to them. But we've submitted ourselves to their school system. You mean to tell me as many educated mothers as we have in the black community that we shouldn't be educating our own children? Who's a better teacher than your own mother? Public primary schools were created by states to reinforce obedience among the masses and maintain social order rather than to serve as a tool for upward social mobility, suggests a study from the University of California, San Diego. Man, this is just a system that is getting you molded to work in their system as an adult, to fit into their system, to submit to their ways. Here we go. Here you have a beautiful, beautiful daughter of Zion, okay? And in Western culture, they would look at her teeth and say there's something wrong with her teeth. If you go to their orthodontist and you go to the dentist and they're going to say, oh yeah, you need to get that gap fixed, as if there's something wrong with it. Studies have shown that black population have the highest prevalence of a dysthymia, a gap between the two front teeth, with some researching indicating it affects up to 36% of this demographic compared to roughly 3.5% of Caucasian populations. Cultural perception. In many African cultures, particularly in West and East Africa, a gap between the front teeth is not viewed as flaw, but as the prized mark of beauty, wealth, and good fortune. Because of this, people in these communities are much less likely to pursue cosmetic orthodontics to close the space. See, when we get back to our origins, and our culture, the stuff that they have made us think is not right or broken, made us think that we need to fix it. So think about what that does. We go out and make our money. Nothing wrong with our teeth. We have the teeth that the Most High Yah wanted us to have, but now we're spending an exorbitant amount of money in their system to go to their doctors to go get this stuff fixed. And why is it that when you get this, that stuff will open back up as if the Most High didn't want you messing with it? Another one, man, the European beauty standard. This is something where they've indoctrinated us and made us feel inferior and less than, to the point where they need you to almost hate your natural self in order to adopt their ways and their systems. European beauty standards does not start at a single moment. They evolve through specific historical areas. The earliest roots trace back to ancient Greece and Rome, 500 BCE, which established foundational ideals like symmetry, proportion, and pale skin, making it where the lighter you are, the whiter you are. You got to think, where does this light skin, dark skin argument come from in our community? That's indoctrination. The indoctrination of the European beauty standard, which prioritizes features like straight hair, lighter skin, and slimmer body shapes, has profoundly affected black women. It has historically been weaponized to devalue natural features, leading to the pervasive colorism and texturism. This has caused significant psychological, physical, and socioeconomical consequences. So you look at Nene Leakes. You look at 2009. You look at that melatonin, that nice dark melanin. Look at 2024. You then went from the brown hair to the blonde hair to making yourself even lighter. Look up Candy Burrs. 1993, dark, nice chocolate melanin. Fast forward to today. Back then, no makeup whatsoever. Fast forward to today, you didn't lighten yourself up. Look at Friedrich Parks, 2007 versus 2025. They had to make you hate yourself in order to feel like, okay, I need to be doing something because the way the Most High Yah made me is not desirable. Think about that. This is all indoctrination. I'm just pointing it out. Here's another one. Example. Soulja Boy, as well as many other rappers. You got to think about, when they allow us to go forth, what are we actually doing for our community? Has all of these people that they have allowed to go forth helped us or hurt us? Has it gotten us closer to righteousness or unrighteousness? But let me tell you the truth, because what people don't realize is a lot of these rappers historically have signed a 360 deal. So that means that money that they hand you 360 degrees is going to go back. Okay, you get $1 million 360 deal. 400,000 is going to the system. Okay. Jewish executives and entrepreneurs have played major roles in founding and running rap and hip hop record labels. Everything is going to come back to them. And I'll show you even the jewelry he has on. You'll see that on the next slide. Throughout the history of the genre, they have contributed significantly to its commercialization, artist development, and global reach. How come we have artists like Hezekiah, not Hezekiah Walker, but Hezekiah, that's independent, will never be on the billboard? Because the message is going to awaken the children. They have no problem. These 2 9s have no problem. Originally, it's 2 9s that, have to call themselves Jewish because they're not Jews. So ish meaning vague. These Gentiles, these Ashkenazis, man, they want certain people. They will allow certain people to go forth only if you push a certain message. You got to push something out there that's going to make our people sexually immoral, going to make them low functioning, going to make them kill each other off. Program to do this, but let's just make sure I'm not making it up. Def Jam recording. Rick Rubin came up with Def Jam recording in his college dorm. Rick Rubin, okay? Tommy Boy Records, Tommy Silverman, Jewish. Ruthless Records, Jerry Heller, Jewish. Revelation 2:9, I know your works in tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Yahudim and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So it's the synagogue of Satan. This is why you see so many people come forth talking about how dark the music industry is and why they got out of it. Some of the things that they saw. You look behind it, man, it's heathens. It's Ashkenazis. Ashkenazi Gentiles playing as if they are the people. Here's another one. The diamonds, man. How is it that in our culture, we will take a perfectly, fine, perfect Rolex, and we want to bust it down and put diamonds in it to the point where it's worth less value. And our music and our culture promotes it. Oh, it's not a bust down. You ain't got diamonds in it. Wait a minute. That's not even a smart investment move. But look at the things that we have been programmed and indoctrinated to do. But let me tell you how, when you sign that rap deal, look at all these rap. When you sign that rap deal, all that money's going to come back to them. They've programmed it that way. New York City's famed Diamond District on West 47th Street has been historically dominated by the Jewish community. The industry relies heavily on insular trusts and networks, making it a tight-knit hub for generations of dealers. South Africa is the historic leader in diamond mining. Look at the lives that the people that's mining these diamonds, look at the lives that they live of poverty. Versus when it comes to these 2 9s, that money's coming full circle. Okay, man, your record label is owned by somebody that's a heathen, calls himself Jewish. When your record label, when you're like, man, I got to get some jewelry, I got to get some bling, I got to get these teeth bust down. They're going to say, yeah, I got somebody. Go to the Diamond District and see somebody. And guess what? All your money's coming back to them. And this is how the cycle continues. But you got to understand, a fool is born every day. How many artists do we have out there that's told you, man, the money is not what it is? They're going to give you that deal, but it's really a loan. I want you to think about it. These people are they've got it down to a science on how we play ourselves. You got to think about all this rap beef going on between artists and whatnot. No, when you start trying to do your own thing and you figure it out, they've already taken out Minuteman insurance on you. Go look that up. Minuteman insurance. It's a life insurance policy on you. They've already taken it out. It's an investment on you as a business. So they know, hey, if we start a beef and somebody knock you off and we act like we don't know nothing, we're going to get a check off of that too, because you're getting too big for your so-called britches. You're trying to inform and educate people of what we've been trying to do, and that's going to mess up our money. Here's another one. Man, Nike. Think about it. Man, who the Nike, when you think about that brand, who is at the face of Nike? Who is representing that brand? Look what people it is in athletics. To the point where we've been brainwashed to where our children think If you're not buying them Nikes, man, they're not cool. They're not in. They're not going to be received by the world. Man, 67% of athletes portrayed by Nike are non-white, indicating that Nike may care more about portraying a racially diverse cast of athletes. Nike, pronounced Nike, is an ancient Greek goddess of victory, personifying triumph in both war and peaceful athletic competitions. So when you think about that, you think about the Olympic Games starting in the Maccabean period, and you can read about that in the Apocrypha. Who do you think they was using for entertainment? But this has become a status symbol. This has become part of our wardrobe. And look at it, man, when it comes to how much of this stuff we make up far as the consumer market. Great reads. Man, I encourage every, African American, black, melanated person to read the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. It'll blow your mind, because this is proof of the indoctrination. This is proof of the indoctrination once we got off the ship, and how when you think about why the black family today has some of the lowest statistics when it comes to dysfunction, Willie Lynch letter. Here's another one for the military. This is a document, command of Negro troops. Everybody else, you can lead them a certain way. But when it came to the Negro troops, man, there was regulatory guidance, regulations, and doctrine and policy on how to lead them, what they could and couldn't do. This is all indoctrination. Making sure you don't get a fair shot, or something else is taking place to where you don't really walk in the righteousness that the Most High Yah wanted you to. Definitions: doctrine. A doctrine is a codification of belief, principle, or teaching adopted and promoted by a particular group, such as a religion, political party, or government. It represents a body of taught, accepted truths, often functioning as a set of rule, policies, or dogmas that guide actions and decision making. Indoctrinated. Indoctrinated refers to someone who has been taught to accept a set of beliefs, opinions, or ideologies uncritically and without question. You never question it. You take it hook, line, and sinker. You take that bait and you run with it. It implies a biased or forced one-sided instruction, often likened to brainwashing, where the individual is discouraged from considering opposing viewpoints. Why is it that they told you? Why is it that you have people that's considered American, but for us, we have to be African American? See, you really don't. Man, you can claim to be anything. You can claim to be black. You can claim to be African American. You can even claim to be white. You can claim to be Chinese. You can claim to be Spanish. You can claim to be Asian. But the minute you start claiming your Hebraic, Hebraic Israelite identity, man, that's when they got a problem with it, because you're uncovering the indoctrination. Etymology: doctrine. The word doctrine derives from the Latin doctrina, meaning teaching, instruction, or learning. It has first appeared in the English language in the late 14th century via Old French, tracing back to the root docere, which translates simply to teach. Synonyms for the word doctrine: brainwash. Hellenization plays a major part in it. Hellenized refers to the adoption of Greek culture. When you saw those fraternities and sororities, man, that's the adoption of Greek culture. Language, thought, and customs by non-Greek peoples. Who do you think that is? Non-Greek peoples. If you ever heard somebody in the black community say, man, you taught white. Well, the way we live our lives in America, a majority of like 98% of black Americans live their lives according to Greek culture. We speak their language, particularly following the conquest of Alexander the Great. It describes a process of becoming Greek-like in character, spanning religion, art, and daily life, often creating a hybrid culture. So when you think about people in Western culture that think about black culture, what you see in Western culture and how diabolical some of this stuff is, it's not our true culture. Man, that is the culture that we have created based upon being indoctrinated. They want you to believe we're low functioning. They want you to believe our children are slow. They want you to think our families can't strive. But there's been so many hands to ensure our failure. Man, this is a message where I want Israel to realize, I want the true people to realize, man, in the book, man, we were scattered to the four corners of earth due to our disobedience. So due to our transgression, this understanding of indoctrination is to get you from, walking in transgression ignorantly to walking, in righteousness with great wisdom as the Most High Yah would give to you. Etymological breakdown. Hellen, root, refers to the Greek people, tracing back to the Greek word Hellas, Greece. When you think about Hellenize, eyes, a verb forming suffix denoting act of making, doing, or adopting a particular quality or identity. So Hellenization together. Hellenization, ancient Greek, means to act like Greeks, speak Greek language, and become culturally Greek. Man, when you think about some of these origins of holidays and things like that we keep, when you think about people say, you got to have black eyed peas and all of this stuff on New Year's. Who New Year's? It's not our New Year's. Why when you think about it, why is it black culture in Western society where we got to eat chitlins and pig booty hole lining and all of this stuff, these scraps? No, that came from slave culture. That didn't come from our true culture and our true identity. No, that's because they gave us scraps. And at some point we made tradition out of eating scraps and eating abominations according to the Most High Yah. The pig booty hole. Smell like dookie in the house. But yet, they done taught us, hey, this is what you're going to eat, and we've taken hold of it. And we'll reject what's in that book because we want to hold on to the traditions that they helped form in us, in our culture. Evolution of doctrine. Historically and today, the word maintains its close tie to instruction, expanding slightly in scopes across different fields. Religion, first used in the 12th century, it describes a codified body of religious principle or dogmas promulgated by a church. Law and government. The word applies to established principles formed through historical precedents of codified state policy. You got to understand, the Most High Yah already gave us Torah, but they gave us a different set of law, and you have to think about it. You have the average black person walking around, they know more about the law of these Greeks and Romans than the law of the Most High Yah. And when you think about it, sin is the transgression of the law. But we've been indoctrinated to think that the law is done away with. General knowledge broadly refers to a taught principle, position, or framework of beliefs within a given field of knowledge. This is Hellenization. What is indoctrination? Indoctrination is the process of implanting beliefs, values, and ideologies into people without allowing them to examine truth for themselves. See, when we was captured, man, you would get in trouble for trying to examine and find out the truth. Spiritually, indoctrination causes people to accept lies as truth, reject Yahweh's commandment, forget covenant identities. Colossians 2:8. Beware lest any man spoil you. What spoil mean? Mean you ain't gonna be good for nothing. Through philosophy and vain deceit. After the ways of Yah? No, after tradition of men. After the rudiments of this world, and not after Mashiach. You got to understand how did this in Christianity, how did this so-called white Jesus hide when they was looking for him in a place where there's melanated people? It don't make no sense. Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. This is heathens. This is their true nature. This is how they move. And I'm going to uncover it. Yahweh's warning. Israel was commanded to remain separate from Gentile customs and doctrine. Jeremiah, starting at chapter 10, verse 1. Hear you the word which Yahweh speaks unto you, O house of Yasharel. Thus says Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathens, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them. Okay, dismayed at them, and what did they give you? They gave you their doggone zodiac signs tied to the solar system and all of that. For the customs of the people are vain. Their customs, the stuff that we do today as so-called black people, is vain, it's worthless. For one cuts a tree out of the forest, work of the hands, workmen of the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails, with hammers, that it move not. So well before these trees had these little plastic bases that you could get at Walmart, somebody had to take 2 pieces of wood and make a base for it. They are upright as palm trees, but speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is in them to do good. So it's not in them to do evil. It's not in them to do good. You have to think about it. It's the foundation of, okay, they're worshiping and they love an idol tree. And when you think about that, biblically, that is idolatry. Yahweh warned Israel about assimilation. Assimilation, the process of absorbing, incorporating, or becoming similar to a large group or system involving the adoption of new habits, culture, or ideas. Gentile customs corrupt covenant obedience. How come when we go to their places of worship and you are going to Christian churches, if you can have a mixed multitude of people and they're going to tell everybody in that congregation that they are Gentiles? Some of them may be Gentiles by true blood lineage, but when it comes to the mixed multitude, your melanated people, no sir, no way. Okay, compromise leads to spiritual captivity. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 30. Take heed to yourself that you be not snared by following them. Who is them? The heathens, the Gentiles. After that, they be destroyed from before you, and that you inquire not after their Elohim. Who is there? When you think about the etymology of Jesus and you look at the transliteration, it is Iesus. And when you break Iesus down, that is Hail Zeus. How did these nations serve their Elohim? Even so will I do likewise. Deuteronomy 12:31. You shall not do so unto Yahweh Elohake, for every abomination to Yah which he hates have they done unto their Elohim. For even their sons and their daughters have burnt in the fire to their Elohim. The Gentiles exalted themselves. I want you to think about this. The Most High Yah told them, hey, we're going to graft you in, but don't exalt yourself over the natural branch. Romans 11, starting at verse 11. So I say, have they stumbled so as to fall to spiritual ruin? Certainly not, but by their transgression. I told you, we got to get from transgression to progression of righteousness. Their rejection of Messiah, salvation, has come unto the Gentiles to make Israel, to make Yashrael jealous when they realize what they have forfeited. Now, if Israel's transgression means riches for the world at large, and their failure means riches for the Gentiles, how much more will their fulfillment and reinstatement be? See, we have to be reinstated. But now I'm speaking to you who are Gentiles. Listen to this. Insomuch then as I am an apostle to the Gentiles, I magnify my ministry in hopes of somehow making my fellow countrymen jealous by stirring them up. How tired when you hear in our community, you got something going around called black fatigue, where we're tired of seeing the foolishness. How much of that foolishness will it take for you to stop living in transgression? By stirring them up so that they will seek the truth and perhaps save some of them. Don't the book say only a remnant will be saved? Salvation to the Yahudim first, and then the Goyim, then the Gentile? Verse 17 through 21. But if some of the branches were broken off, and you Gentiles, being like a wild olive shoot, were grafted in among them to share with them the rich root of the olive tree, do not boast over the broken branches and exalt yourself at their expense. What has been done historically? Man, they have exalted themselves over us by building off of our backs. Man, I got a book that I'll show in here at some point. I was looking for it before this teaching, where I got over 1,000 black inventions that our people come up with that we don't get credit for. You know why? Because their system came out with this patent system. Whoever has the patent, whoever understood this system and could put the patent in it is the one that historically gets credit for it. But you gotta think, man, our children think we only can be rappers, we can be thugs, we can be low lives, baby daddies, NBA players, NFL players. We can be far more than that, but you've been programmed to think that that's all you can be. You got to understand that man, there's when it comes to us, man, our children need to understand that they can be engineers, and they going to get further than anybody in the NBA. They can be doctors. They're going to help more people than anybody that's in the NBA. But you got to understand, bro, they have programmed us to basically be the entertainment. We're the laughing stock. Branches were broken off so that they might be, let's go back. If you do boast and feel superior, remember that it is not you who supports the root, but the root that supports you. You will say then, branches were broken off so that I might be grafted in. That is true. They were broken off because of their unbelief, but you stand by your faith as believers, understanding the truth of Hamashiach's identity. Do not be conceited, but rather stand in great awe of Yahweh and fear him. For if Yahweh did not spare the natural branches because of unbelief, he will not spare you either. So don't exalt yourself. And what have they done? Exalted themselves, made themselves superior. White supremacy. You know, white supremacy at its core means you submit to the ideology and believe that white people are superior to you. I don't submit to that. I don't submit to that. Crippling doctrine. False doctrine has crippled the tribes for generations. False teachings disconnected Israel from Torah, identity, and righteousness. They told you in Christianity, when you started to learn their religion, these Christian missionaries on these slave ships, man, they left Europe, put Christian missionaries on these ships, and brought them over there and taught you a new way. And this is how they disconnected you. They started to disconnect you. Hey, you're not from the you think about, you're not from this land. No, you from here. This is the religion that you are allowed to practice. And righteousness. Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because you have rejected the knowledge. Think about today. Our people still, like, our own people have been so brainwashed to due to Hellenization and to think they are something that they are not. And when you speak like I'm speaking, they'll reject the truth. It's the book say, I will also reject you, that you shall be no priest to me, seeing that you have forgotten the Torah of your Elohim. I will also forget your children. Religious deception weakens spiritual discernment. False doctrine normalizes disobedience. Generations inherit spiritual confusion. Man, this indoctrination is generational. A lot of this stuff on how you're moving, man, your grandparents taught you. Their grandparents taught them. And this is here's the crazy part about it. The crazy part about it is, once they get one generation indoctrinated and submitted to that belief and that system and that ideology and way of thinking, then they know they can back off, because you're going to indoctrinate your own children. You're gonna grow up and say, you know what? Rather than teaching my own children the ways of the Most High Yahweh, rather than keeping them safe, I'm gonna hand them off to somebody else. And then my children are ultimately gonna start questioning me as a parent and look up to everybody else that's teaching them. This is why your children, they question what you tell them based upon what they have learned from these teachers. They start to question your authority, question your guidance. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 1, but there were also false prophets among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying Yahweh that brought them. Okay? Denying the God that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 2, and many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. So the way of truth is now going to be speaking evil of. Rather than saying, man, that's good and that's the truth, they're going to start saying this stuff is evil. The scattering of Israel. Disobedience led to the scattering among the nations. Captivity included loss of language, loss of culture, loss of identity, loss of covenant remembrance. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64, and Yahweh shall scatter you among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there you shall serve other Elohim, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood or stone. So you're going to end up getting scattered and serving other deities. And you look at it today, and we talk about these zodiac signs. We walking around claiming to be Christians, but that's of their culture. We claiming these zodiac signs and then blaming the zodiac sign for the way we behave. You're serving other Elohim. Behind all of these zodiac signs is a deity, is an Elohim. Ezekiel 36:19, and I scattered them among the heathen. Oh, where was you scattered? Among the heathen, among the unbeliever. And they were dispersed throughout the countries, according to their way and according to their doings, I judged them. I told you, I'm trying to get you from transgression to progression of righteousness. See, that's what they don't want. Because when we walk in it, being, being the natural branch, being from the root versus them grafted in, oh man. The book says something about that. Impacts of Hellenization. Hellenization or Hellenification is the historical spread, adoption, of forced imposition of ancient Greek culture, language, religion, and identity by non-Greek peoples. Hellenization spread Greek culture, philosophy, customs, and thinking amongst Yahweh people. Greek influence reshaped worship, philosophy, masculinity and femininity, morality, identity, diet, and nutrition. We trust the ways of Western medicine more than when this thing says, man, when you receive the Ruach, you receive power. So we trust more now in their system of medicine than we do the laying on of hands and spiritual healing. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 10 through 5. The wicked rulers Antiochus Epiphanes, son of King Antiochus III of Syria, was descendant of one of Alexander's generals. Okay? Antiochus Epiphanes had been a hostage in Rome before he had become king of Syria in the year 137. At that time, there appeared in the land of Israel a group of traitorous Jews who had no regard for the law and who had a bad influence on many of our people. They said, let us come to terms with the Gentile. Let us be liked by the Gentiles. For our refusal, at one point they was refusing, for our refusal to associate with them has brought us nothing but trouble. Man, we're not living a good life because we're not associating with these heathens. So let us come to terms. Let us make an agreement. This proposal appealed to many, and some of them became so enthusiastic about it that they went to the king and received from him permission to follow Gentile customs. What did I tell you about the Greek fraternities and sororities? These folk didn't want you in there. But guess what? You went begging. They built in Jerusalem a stadium like those in Greek cities. They had surgeries performed to hide their circumcision, abandoned the Holy Covenant, started associating with Gentiles, and did all sort of other evil things. This is 41 through 43. Antiochus now issued a decree that all nations in his empire should abandon their own customs and become one people. Tell me this ain't Hellenization. All the heathens and even many of the Israelites submitted to this decree. They adopted the official pagan religion, offered sacrifices to idols, and no longer observed the Sabbath. They told you Sunday. They told you first day of the week. Look at your dictionary and look up the definition of Sunday. It tells you it's the first day of the week. Look up Saturday. It tells you it's the seventh day of the week. They want you on their system, not the ways of the Most High. Because here's the thing. As long as they keep you on their system, they know where they're going if they keep on with all this idolatry. They know where they're going. But they want to make sure that you don't get the promise. That's ultimately what it's about and why they indoctrinate you. Okay, we think about this. Did the Messiah start a new day? Or did the Messiah, the apostles, the disciples, the prophets, were they all Sabbath day keepers? Were they all 7-day Sabbath keepers? Or were they first day keepers? The Bible will tell you they were 7th-day Sabbath keepers. First Maccabees 44 through 50. The king also sent messengers with the decree to Jerusalem and all the towns of Judea, ordering the people to follow customs that were foreign to their country. Come on. He ordered them not to offer burnt offerings, grain offerings, or wine offerings in the temple. Okay? So by them doing that, he's hindering you from, partaking in the feast days, and commanded them to treat Sabbaths and festivals as ordinary work days. You'd have been in violation of the Torah. They were even ordered to defile the temple and holy things in it. They were commanded to build pagan altars. That's what we got here. Pagan altars, temples, and shrines, and sacrifice pigs and other unclean animals there. They were forbidden to circumcise their sons and were required to make themselves ritually unclean in every way they could, so that they would forget the law, which the master had given through Moshe, and would disobey all his commands. The penalty for disobeying the king's decree was death. You just didn't volunteer for their indoctrination. No, this is a process. If you don't submit to our ways, we gonna kill you. Keep keeping that Sabbath. Keep following that Torah. Keep keeping these feast days. Keep keeping these commandments of the Most High, and we're gonna kill you. This is the part of the Bible that the Catholics have this in their Bible, but you ain't gonna get nobody to read this out in public. Why? Because you will wake up. Christianity, they want you to believe, oh, their Bible is only 66 books. And you know what they pulled out of it? They pulled this out of it because they used them 66 books and then told you New Testament only. You a Gentile. Your identity is in the front of the book. Hamashiach said, lo, I come in the volume of the book. The effects on blacks. Captivity and colonization disconnected many from biblical identity. Forced assimilation, religious indoctrination, adoption of foreign names and customs, destruction of cultural memory. You look through the book and they didn't gave all of the people of the book, they didn't gave them, Gentile names. They didn't gave them names based upon heathen, based upon Romans and Greek culture. And then you start to look at early manuscripts that wasn't the name of these people. Baruch chapter 2, verse 30 through 32. I know that you will not obey me because you are a stubborn people. I tell you that our people are stubborn. We rather than recognizing truth, we double down in the lies. We double down in the indoctrination. But when you are taken into exile in another land, you will come to your senses. You are waking up. It's going to be so painful for you that you are waking up. Then you will realize that I am the master, your Yahweh, and I will give you a desire to know and mind with which to understand. There in the land of your exile, you will praise and remember me. Christian missionaries. During the 15th through 18th century, the Portuguese and Spanish empires relied heavily on Catholic missionaries, Jesuits, Capuchins, and Franciscans, who operated in Africa. These orders not only blessed the slave ships, but also owned and operated massive plantations using enslaved labor to finance their mission and colonial institutions. Their religions and why did you know it is built off of our backs. You got to think, for everything that is native to us, they come out with another genre. Okay, we came up with gospel, but nope, that's not good enough. So they need contemporary Christian. They come up with another genre. In the 16th century, the crown-backed slaver John Hawkins abducted thousands of Africans under the guise of an evangelical mission, intending to sell coverts to the Spanish in the Americas. Queen Elizabeth I invested in his voyage and provided a ship named JESUS of Lubbock for the slave trade. They put you on a ship for this doggone blonde-haired Caesar Borgia they got you worshiping. The missionaries who arrived on the African soil labeled the African culture and religious practices as fetish and pagan. So think about it. They did reverse psychology on us. So when they arrived on our soil, they tried to call what we was doing as fetish and pagan, tried to make us into heathens. They used the Bible to justify their subjugation of Africans to such an extent that the white Christians who arrived in South Africa felt they were God's chosen people on a divine mission. You can't make this stuff up. See, this is what they don't want you in. How come it's when we organize, when we have community, all of a sudden we're a terrorist group, we a hate group, we this, because they the originators of it. That's the reality of it. That is the reality of it. And their statement is, well, you just should forget, and it's so long ago. But now we're in a time where the remnant, where the children of Yasharel are waking up. You start to look at the Berlin Conference, why Africa looks like the United States as far as all of these small countries as the size of states. Why is that? Because they tried to invade Africa. They invaded Africa first and colonized it. That's why it looks like on a map, it looked like the United States. You got to think Israel. Those people that's there today got one of the highest rates of skin cancer. Those are European from the Caucasus. Those are not native people to that land. Okay, then you get into the Balfour Agreement of 1948, where our people were moved out and they moved in. For centuries, European Christian churches, including Roman Catholic and Protestant denominations, actively supported the transatlantic slave trade. Missionaries and theologians utilized biblical interpretations such as the curse of Ham, Genesis 9, and the concept of bringing pagans to Christ to justify enslavement. So they felt like they was justified. That's why they're telling you to forget it. Don't worry about it. Ain't no more. And here's the thing. This system today has us on the bottom. Has us on the bottom. But guess what? A lot of us been so indoctrinated, anything that comes from us, we don't think is good. We've been programmed to think white is right. Doctrinal deceit. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the comings of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, by our gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by ruach, nor by word, nor by sefer, as from us, as that the day of Yahweh is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, that for that day shall come, except there come a falling away first, that the man of sin be real. So right now you're seeing our people fall away. We've been falling away for a while. And through that, the man of sin will be revealed, the sons of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worship, so that he as Elohim sits on the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. Remember you not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now you know what withholds, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity do already work. Only he who now lets will let until he be taken out of the way. Continuing on verse 8. And then shall that lawless one be revealed. From Yahweh shall consume with the ruach of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the work of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness. So you're going to be deceived to live unrighteous in them that perish, because they receive not a love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause Elohim shall send them a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they might be damned who believe not the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. Look at our culture and look at the pleasure. Like you think about our culture, we promote being baby daddies, being baby mamas, being bust down, being thoughts, being whoremongers, being witches. It said, but have pleasure in righteousness. You're going to be damned because you didn't love the truth. Romans 6:17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. Man, their doctrine and indoctrination causes division. Has it called, like think about it. Has it caused our people to unify? How come we need permission to unify? We got to go to them to get permission, to get license to unify. Or if not, we're not keeping the peace. For they that are such serve not our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speech deceive the hearts of the simple. I tell you, every time we get a leader, they're going to go and sit down with the other side, these heathens, and with good words and fair speech, they're going to promise them we're going to sell out for dirt cheap, and next thing you know, that's the end of that. No more unity. Here comes the division. They're going to sow it in. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 14. That we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men, and the cunning craftiness whereby they lie in wait to deceive. Come on. If any man teach otherwise, and consent not to the wholesome words, even the words of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, and to the doctrine which is according to holiness. 2 Timothy 4:3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound teaching, but after their own lust they shall heap up to themselves teachers having itching ears. Think about it. We want to be pandered to. You got to think about it. You want to make some money in our community? Pander to our people. Pander to our people and tell them lies that make them feel comfortable out living in transgression. And they shall turn away their ears from truth, and shall be turned unto fables. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, in denying the Yahweh that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness they with feigned words make merchandise of you. So you're going to become merchandise, whose judgment now of a long time lingers not. So their judgment is coming, and their damnation slumbers not. Religion has replaced truth. The tradition of men often replace the commandments of Yahweh. Religion without truth creates bondage. Traditions can override obedience. Many follow inherited doctrine rather than scripture. Mark chapter 7, verse 7. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for the doctrines and the commandments of men. This is when he's talking to the Pharisees. Mark 7:8. For laying aside the commandments of Elohim, you hold to the tradition of men, as the washing in pots of cups, and many other such like things you do. And he said unto them, full well you reject the commandments of Elohim, that you may guard your own traditions. That's what they've got us to do. When the last time you didn't see in the black church that so-called thinks they calling in truth, with all these pulpit pimps of first day Sunday sun worship, teaching you to keep the Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, just as the Messiah did. Teaching you to keep all the biblical feast days outlined in Leviticus 23. Or are they in there having Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day sermons, all of this foolishness? Call to Israel. The awakening of Israel is a call to repentance and restoration. Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. Thus says Yahweh, stand you in the ways and see, and ask for the ancient paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and you shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. How many of you are saying that today? Nope, still don't want to do it. I want to walk in their system. I don't want to walk in the old ways. Mark 4:4. Remember the Torah of Moshe my servant, which I commanded unto him at Shoreh for all Yasharel, with the commandments and judgments. Psalms 19:7. The Torah of Yahweh is perfect, restoring the soul. The testimony of Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. You think about it, man. In our culture, we have, when you think about it, we have a lot of educated women in our community. How come we got the highest divorce rates? Come on, they indoctrinated you to fail. They made you think money and education was something that you Nat Howard can you can leverage submission with it, to where now because I got this, I don't need to submit. I'm a boss. The call to come out. Yahweh's people must separate from the systems rooted in rebellion. Revelations 18:4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sin, and that you receive not of her plagues. You got to understand, man. You look at homosexuality. When you look at the stuff that we do that comes from the other nations that the Most High Yah told us to avoid, he told us not to follow the way of the Egyptians. The first instances of homosexuality came from Egypt. You look at the Roman Greek artwork, there's all this pornea and pornography in their artwork. These are some freaks. But why when we do it, we got to do it like ain't nobody done it before. We got to be just flaming and flamboyant. Look at Magic Johnson's son. Look at Dwayne Wade. Joe got a size 15 shoe and want to be a woman. Tell you, man, we are in transgression, straight up indoctrinated. And I heard another verse from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, and be not partaker of her sins. What's the sins? The transgression of the law. And that you receive not her plagues. 2 Corinthians 6:17. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate. See, man, they didn't made our sons think that when life get hard, you need to fold and become a woman. Go read this book right here. Go read this Iron Curtain, and it'll show you. Man, they indoctrinated our men to be weak at mind. You're not a horrible leader because that's in you. No, you've been programmed to be like that. Man, they separated the man from the woman, beat the man down, and put a fear in this woman. That's why you gotta think, okay, here's the reality. If a black man go to the other side and date a woman, they shaming him. Sisterhood, you go to a white man, oh yeah, girl, you getting cheered on. Straight foolishness on both sides. Wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate, says Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. Separation is spiritual and practical. Holiness requires distinction. Israel must reject worldly indoctrination. Man, Hasatan is the one that has dominion on earth. So he's using that for his advantage to make sure we stay in a fallen state. Mankind is at a fallen state. Our people is at a fallen state. You call yourself being religious, the Most High Yah called you to be righteous. But claim any other identity. You can claim to be this, you can claim to be that, but the minute you claim to be the people of the book and walk in them ways, they got a problem with it. They're gonna come for you. You being anti-Semitic. The people that's like it said, they showed up on these boats that they labeled Jesus. They showed up on these boats coming from Europe, a Christian missionary, and then came to our land and then told us that's pagan. The way that we jump around doing our dancing, that's pagan. That's faddish. You need to adopt this Christianity. But I told you, these heathens got everybody to consent. They got our people to consent to the official pagan religion. And they got you thinking your culture is less than. You can't make this stuff up. Reclaiming our identity. Awakening requires more than knowledge. It requires obedience and lifestyle change. That's the problem. We didn't got too comfortable in our transgression. We didn't got too comfortable in being low functioning. Come on, man. Okay, let me give an example. You take a heathen lesbian. You got, what's her name? What's the lady, the talk show host? Little white lady. You got her, okay? In business suits and things like that. You look at our lesbians. We want to wear Timbs and sag the pants. Bull daggers. Anytime we do something, we got to do it low functioning. I'm telling you, nowadays, our culture, we can't do nothing without making it raunchy. Nothing of class. Nothing of true culture. It's embarrassing. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 26. And you shall be holy unto me. You shall be hakodesh unto me. For I, Yahweh, am holy and have severed you from other people, that you should be mine. Deuteronomy 7:6. For you are a holy people unto Yahweh Elohake. Yahweh Elohake has chosen you to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. They hijacked the book. Spun it around, changed. When have we had like you think about the Ethiopian Bible, one of the oldest Bibles out there. Man, they had to fight like hell to keep that Bible out these heathens' hands. Why? Because they would have took that book and they would have whitewashed it. You think about blackface. Rather than giving our people the roles, man, they rather use a white person and put black paint on. Ain't nobody out there that black. Okay? Native Americans in movies. They didn't want them to get the roles. So what did they do? Use a white person and put burgundy and brown paint on their face. These heathens are sick, man. But it's their system. You got to understand, okay, this legal system, they got some law for you, and then they got some law for them. You think about the prison industrial complex. Man, the music we listen to is programming us to feed that thing. Biblical culture includes modesty, family order, dietary obedience, Sabbath keeping, feast observance, covenant living. Speaking in tongues, I want to give you a different aspect on speaking in tongues. Genesis 10:31. These are the sons of Shem after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. After their tongue, Strong's number Hebrew word 3956, native speech or language. 1 Corinthians 14:27. If any man speak in an unknown tongue, let it be by two, or the most by three, and by that course, and let one interpret. In an unknown tongue, Greek word 1100. Origin of speech, native language, the language used by a peculiar people in distinction from that of other nations. 1 Corinthians 14:28. But if there be no interpreter, let him keep in silence in the assembly. Let him speak to himself and to Elohim. Our native tongue. Enslaved Africans did not abandon their native languages overnight. The transition occurred gradually over the course of 2 or 3 generations, typically between the late 17th and mid 18th centuries. First generation linguistics isolation. Africans forcibly brought to North America spoke diverse native languages, Akan, Yoruba, Igbo, because enslavers purposely mixed captives from different regions to prevent rebellion. These first arrivals were first forced to learn basic English to understand commands and survive. Second generation, Pidgin and Creole. The children of these captives, isolated from American native speakers, grew up here in a blend of regional English and African linguistic structures. They formed the Pidgin, a basic common tongue, which eventually developed into a functional Creole language. The Gullah exception. In highly isolated coastal regions, such as the Sea of South Carolina and Georgia, man, when I lived in South Carolina, we would travel, we would come across Geechee people or the Gullah people. A distinct Creole known as Gullah form which retained deep structural and vocabulary ties to West African languages. Majority of white slave owners prohibited slaves from speaking in their native tongues, fearing they could organize and unify. But in the Christian church, they done told you when you receive the gift of tongues, you got to sit up and mama say, mama saku sa, mama. No, it's native tongues. Yes, white society frequently mocked the way enslaved Africans and African Americans communicated. Rather than acknowledging that enslaved people were blending African languages with English to create new dialects, white enslavers and popular cultures used these differences to justify the myth of black inferiority. These people are sick. Wake up from your sleep. Israel must awaken spiritually. Gotta be filled with that Ruach HaKodesh. That spirit that they tell you you're getting baptized and filled with in Christianity is not a spirit that leads you to truth. It further indoctrinates you. Truth requires action, just not awareness. Yahweh is calling his people back to covenant identity, righteousness, and holiness. The time for confusion is ended. The time for returning has come. Romans chapter 13:11. And know that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For it is our Yahshua nearer than when we believed. Isaiah 51:1. Hearken to me, you that follow after righteousness, you that see Yahweh. Look unto the rock whence you are hewn, and to the hole of the pit whence you are dug. Conclusion. Man, we must understand that indoctrination is not merely educational or cultural. It is spiritual warfare against the identity and obedience of Yahweh's people. The enemy has long understood that if a people can be disconnected from their history, culture, commandments, and covenant identity, they become easier to control, to herd, deceive, and to keep spiritually powerless. The scattering of the tribes and the effects of Hellenization have left many disconnected from the ways of Yahweh, embracing tradition and doctrines that were never rooted in Scripture. Yet, despite generations of confusion, the call of the Most High remains the same. Return unto him. Return to his commandments, his righteousness, his appointed times, and the culture of holiness he established for his people. This is not merely about reclaiming history. It's about reclaiming covenant identity and walking once again as set-apart people. The awakening of Israel requires more than knowledge. It requires repentance, obedience, and separation from the doctrines and customs that have kept the tribe spiritually asleep. Now is the time for the true people of Yahweh to rise, remember who they are, and return fully to the ways of biblical Israel so that righteousness may once again dwell among the people of the Most High. Shabbat Shalom. Man, they had to teach you to hate yourself. I want to teach you today to love your identity. Man, we learned when we was in Egypt, while we was in captivity, we learned the way of the transgressor. When Moses was leading us up out of there, we wanted to go back. We were so comfortable in our transgression. You think about how comfortable we are today in our transgression. And what will be said when we're sitting at the judgment seat of a Mashiach, man, if we don't claim our identity. If we don't take heed to righteousness. If we don't, how is it that you obey all the laws of the land, but reject all the ways of Torah. What are you repenting for if sin is the transgression of the law? But this is all the stuff that our religion got you, like in the past, you got your children looking for Easter eggs and bunny. It's a deity behind that. Got you worshiping Nimrod and Tammuz. Sad, man. Our young boys and young girls think that the only thing they can be is what they see on TV, and you don't see a true depiction of what we can be. It's a reason for that. You know how much money they're gonna make off of you dribbling that ball, catching them balls, and entertaining up there butt naked, and then you gonna come out flat out broke in the end. But guess what? Our people sell out for it all the time, because when you think about what goes forth in our community, what else do they allow to be shown? I'm here today to tell you that you don't need their system. You don't need their system. You don't need their permission. It's crazy that they have exalted themselves to think that you got to go get permission from them to unify. You got to understand, man, the true ecclesia, the true congregation. You look at the etymology of the word, that means the assembly of the Israelites. But they told you got to go to a building. All the way through the book, it's synagogue and temple. And then when we get to the New Testament, they use this word church. And they never teach you the etymology of the word, so you think it's the building. You think the only place you can worship is going to their places of worship, where they indoctrinate you. All these different denominations, apostolic, Baptist. All of these different denominations is different types of indoctrination. That's what it is. They told you it's a cross. No, he was hung on a tree. Glory to the King. The King is coming. Turn from your sins. Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Closer to y'all ministries, kicking that thing gun barrel straight.